For the rim. Got it! Oh, the slam. Oh, here's a Curry. Way downtown. Oh, what a shot from Curry.
Very recently, it was announced that the Orlando Magic, after a long time, will be in fact retiring the jersey of Shaquille O'Neal. This makes him the first Orlando Magic player to ever receive the honor, which is pretty embarrassing considering the players they've had pass through the franchise. Before him, the only jersey to grace the rafters was the fans, literally. That was it. It was a giant jersey that said the fans. Like I said, embarrassing. In any case, this got me thinking about franchises who gave away their star players' jerseys. Funny enough, I hadn't realized, from what I can tell, one player had wore Shaq's jersey. That was CJ Watson. As you'll see for the Orlando Magic, this is just fitting. However, that also makes him the only player you're gonna see in this video who had another player take their jersey yet still get it retired. This topic interests me because it's one thing to just not retire a guy's number. To give it away to anyone is disrespect, and there are normally circumstances you can point to explaining how it happened. So that's what this video will cover, and if you happen to be in sports betting, I've got you covered. You already know I'm teamed up with DraftKings, who's an official partner of the NFL, and I want to make sure all my true sports fans get in on an offer you won't want to miss. Right now, new customers that bet just $5 on DraftKings will get $200 in bonus bets instantly. All you have to do is use my promo code DOM2K when you sign up and bet just $5 on any game. You heard it right. New customers that sign up now will get $200 in bonus bets instantly after they place their first bet of just $5. If you're already signed up like me, all customers can get a no sweat bet. Get a bonus bet back if your SGP or SGPX doesn't hit. If you're in a state where sports betting isn't available yet, don't worry, you can still get in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today and sign up using my promo code DOM2K. New customers that bet just $5 will get $200 in bonus bets instantly, and existing customers can get a bonus bet if your SGP or SGPX does not hit. That's promo code DOM2K only at DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Life could have gone much smoother for T-Mac in Orlando. The franchise needed only to land Tim Duncan with he and Grant Hill, likely enabling them to run the Eastern Conference for the foreseeable future. Unfortunately, the Magic just barely whiffed on Timmy, while Hill lost his superstardom to injury, leaving McGrady to waste vital prime years on terrible teams. As you can likely predict, 4 straight years of stagnation led the scoring champ to notifying Orlando he would not be resigning once his option came around, on top of the fact he wasn't getting along with the new general manager, feeling unwanted. After the trade, T-Mac noted how he felt no urgency from the front office to keep him. No visits, no phone calls, no convincing that Grant Hill may finally come through. It was as if his departure were the desired outcome and he obliged. Still, the final season was a tough 21-win campaign, and McGrady's nightly efforts were called into question, which is always the worst way to go out. Despite having led the league in scoring, he'd later admit he slacked off some nights, causing the rest of the team to follow suit. He also mentioned he had to lead the league in scoring, as being on a losing team while playing poorly would have tanked his image. Thus, despite giving the franchise some of his best years, Orlando quickly gave away his number 1 to Doug Christie. Didn't even hesitate. Side note, I was in attendance of McGrady's return game, and the reception was about what you would expect. I was in the 4th grade, so I can't fully remember, but I do recall being the oddball of the crowd, donning a sign saying something along the lines of "Come back, T-Mac." I was probably the only person who felt that way. I was a huge fan and had no idea what was going on outside of just basketball. It's crazy to imagine there was a time where Rajon Rondo appeared to possibly be a Celtic lifer, something akin to Paul Pierce, where he's there for all of his usefulness, maybe not the entire time. Taking the Big 3 closer to a Big 4 around 2011, an opportunity was there, yet fans low-key dreaded the day he'd have to prove his talents alone while posting similar success. This day came, and he was gone barely 2 seasons after the experiment started, meaning he had almost no arc of his own as a Celtic. With that knowledge, there's probably no surprise he simply did not qualify for jersey retirement in a franchise such as Boston's. Hell, they'll eventually run out of numbers to use with how they were going. But damn. 2 seasons later, a brief tenured player by the name of Demetrius Jackson was granted number 9, and it's since been sported by other subpar players. Derek White does not fall in this category, by the way. Respect Derek White. Unlike McGrady's questionable ending with the Magic, it was simply time for Rondo to go and a rebuild to commence. There weren't really hard feelings, no accusations of quitting or even being a cancer. Well, not at the time of the trade. The stories about the type of teammate he was and his feud with Ray Allen all came to the forefront much later, never playing much part in his perception with the fan base, as he was crowned a top point guard at the time, produced a championship, along with just playing the one in general for a very beloved era of Boston basketball. In Boston, he probably just didn't play long enough or do enough to earn that honor, which would then point you towards his backcourt mate whose name we just evoked. Ray Allen helped make Boston relevant for the first time since the 80s, was unequivocally part of the Big Three, and played well enough to contend for Finals MVP in 08. KG got his jersey retired, Pierce had his jersey sent to the Raptors without a second thought, Allen had his jersey hoard out the minute Boston needed to land a key free agent. Well, at least they waited a bit and the name was notable. This one's pretty simple though. The Heat and Celtics were pretty fierce rivals once LeBron joined. He was public enemy number one in Boston even before that, then Ray went and joined his team after losing to him twice in a row. The end. Don't even need to have a debate about his numbers, did he play there long enough? Kevin Garnett got his jersey retired there. Ray absolutely would have by now if not for that move. Danny Ainge had once said the decision would be up to ownership, and at least for the time being, the decision has clearly been made. Still, it's not as if Hayward did enough for retirement. Didn't even come close, so who knows what happens years and years down the road. D12's ending in Disneyland was a very confusing time to live through here. One minute you heard he never wanted to leave, then there were trade rumors where his future with Chris Paul seemed inevitable, then he was getting ultimatums about his contract extension from the front office, who he later revealed exposed his trade request to the world when he'd apparently only told the GM he wanted out. Also cannot forget the time Stan Van Gundy was literally telling the media Dwight Howard wanted him fired, then he popped up behind him during said interview contradicting the story, not knowing what Stan had just said.
Dwight, are the stories true about?
Come on, man. Yeah, the stories from Dave Pink are true.
Stan just said they were true.
Yeah. What's true?
Stan just said that you wanted him fired.
I said that?
Yeah, that's what Stan said.
Who did I say that to?
Okay, you get the point. Howard's final year with the Magic was extremely confusing, and it didn't help when it ended through back surgery right before the playoffs, which kept him from participating. The quitting allegations ensued, resulting in the beginning of his reputation's downfall that would continue in coming years. Needless to say, the less than stellar ending left sour taste in the mouths of both parties, leading to the jersey of the man who'd recently taken them to only their second finals in franchise history being immediately given away. Given the recent events of Howard's life, I doubt there will ever be reconciliation. Oh buddy, speaking of lack of the former, OKC may never forgive Durant for his actions 8 years ago, as the NBA fandom at large still hasn't. The fun part of this story is always trying to explain to younger fans just how beloved Durant was around the league pre-2016. He was literally the good guy. For OKC, he was Thunder basketball, alongside Westbrook, as they'd moved over with the franchise from Seattle, leading them to contention in just a short few seasons. After some terrible luck and a couple flat-out bad series, Durant essentially took what LeBron had done in 2010, what Ray Allen did in 2012, combining them into something much worse. Yeah, as explained, this played over well with absolutely no one outside of Golden State, including Oklahoma, who relinquished his jersey to PJ Dozier in 2018. At this point, I'd like to remind you, nobody who's lost their numbers on this list so far has gone on to receive a retirement. Yet Durant believed the Thunder have to do it, as in a 2022 interview, he stated not doing so would be bad for the game of basketball. I mean, the fact only one other player has worn it for one season means it might have been something impulsive by the organization with the wound still fresh. And I wouldn't even rule out KD retiring with the franchise when it's all said and done, so there's time to patch this up, and I believe he's got a shot. After all, unlike some of these guys, you absolutely cannot tell the story of the Thunder without mentioning the Slim Reaper. Which is an interesting way to approach the conversation because, well, I don't feel like you can tell the Nuggets story without Carmelo Anthony either. However, he's clearly never getting the honor, and this could actually be the nastiest instance on the list. Melo's breakup with Denver was something similar to T-Mac. Trade me or you're getting nothing when the contract ends. Unlike McGrady though, Anthony had recently been to the conference finals with a true shot at going all the way. According to him, what proceeded afterwards in the front office had all the signs of a rebuild. They let Dante Jones go, refused to re-sign Billups, talked of trading J.R. Smith and Kenyon Martin. A lot of things in hindsight I don't remember making sense. For that reason, he went on to tell how he never wanted to leave Denver, he just also wasn't sticking around for a rebuild 7 years in, especially with the direction the league was headed at the time. So he laid out his distrust of their championship hopes plainly to the media, much how James Harden did right before he left Houston. And that was that. You might be thinking it's also as simple as a superior player having donned the jersey after him and actually delivered the franchise what he could not. No, by just 2013, number 15 was being rocked by Anthony Randolph. When they let it go again, it was to the second round pick Nikola Jokic, who I'd assume not even Denver fully expected to be what he's become. Point being, they lent his jersey out twice to, at the time, unremarkable names. I always just feel like it's complete and deliberate disrespect from a franchise when the number is tossed to just anybody. In 2019, Melo acknowledged he wasn't likely to receive the honor given how Jokic had taken it over. He did, however, state he believed he deserves it. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say at this point, as much as I love Melo, it'd be disrespectful to do a double 15 retirement. Not sure how much he would care though. I think Vince Carter cares. How about another 15? Ironically, not the inspiration for this video as a whole, Austin Rivers very recently tweeted about how disrespectful it was for Toronto to not have done the deed by now. He isn't wrong. Vince completely transformed how basketball was viewed in Canada, inspired multiple current players from the area, and overall just serves as an icon in those purple jerseys, accounting for so many fans' love of the game who weren't even Raptor fans. Unfortunately, much the same as McGrady and Melo, that goddamn trade request. Fan bases simply don't take it lightly when you ask out. On top of that though, the city which loved him so dearly felt as if he'd quit near the end of his tenure, allegedly forcing his way out. There's a dope podcast by Forgotten Seasons that recently dropped on the subject, which I recommend checking out. It dives deeper into his mistrust of the training staff and more that led to this perception. Still, he played a huge part of it, publicly admitting after the trade on TNT he'd stopped trying for the team. Crazy, his cousin Tracy nearly said the same exact thing. That ain't the worst of it though. In 2004, smack dab in the middle of the nonsense.
Is it harder for you to drive now than it was a few years back? You used to get to the foul line a lot more. You used to get a lot of dunks inside. Is it?
I don't want to dunk anymore.
Why not?
For what?
Get fouled, go to the free throw line?
You can get up, you can make a layup and get fouled and go to the free throw line.
But if you look, you see you're not getting to the free throw line as often as you used to.
Sorry, Barry. I'll go work on it. That's all I can tell you.
But I'm saying, is that just the way you're being defended, or is it maybe from
I said
your
I'm sorry, I'm
injuries,
gonna
or what?
work on it. I mean, I don't know what you want me to answer. Keep asking the same question, and it'll come.
When you do dunk, don't you feel it energizes your squad? Maybe take something away from the other team, isn't there that?
Chris dunks. You got a lot of guys dunking. Lamont dunking the ball now. We have a lot of people dunking the ball. I just
yeah, but they're not in your league of dunking them.
Thank you, but it's overrated, man. Dunking's overrated. Would you agree?
No.
It is overrated.
Just imagine this sequence playing out alongside NBA Twitter. If you're wondering how it played out statistically, 20 Raptors games prior to the trade yielded 16 points on 41% from the field, 32% from 3, and barely 3 free throw attempts per game. The remainder of the year in New Jersey? 28 points, nearly 5 assists and 6 rebounds, with 46% from the field and 43% from 3, getting to the line nearly 7 times per game. Yeah, I think it's pretty clear why the Raptors faithful never let up on him until a decade later when he was a part of a tribute video. There seems to have been some change of heart and making up since then, however, we're not gonna let the fact that they let his number go to Jorge Garbajosa in 2006 just slide by. Amir Johnson also got a piece of it, Anthony Bennett, Eric Moreland, Greg Monroe. The number is ran through, bruh. I don't even think you can turn back and retire it now. This video has officially ran longer than I planned on, and the last few names I have here I felt might be reaches, so just to run them off, after hitting the biggest shot in franchise history, Kyrie's jersey slid off and right on to Colin Sexton a year later after his trade request. Chris Paul's number 3 in New Orleans got swiped years after he wanted to move on, and Paul George has lost both of his numbers after nearly leading a new era of Pacers basketball in the early 2010s. There's no question the most egregious here though is Kyrie's. The Hornets became the Pelicans, and PG's injury kind of screwed a legendary career with one team in the making. Kyrie? To this day, I'm unsure if Cleveland is sitting with a trophy if he doesn't flat out hunt Steph for this shot. Hell, it's not even just the shot. He played great basketball with the crew, and LeBron could have never gotten it done without him. Still, the trade requests maybe helped set in motion the end of James' second tenure in their eyes, so frustration is understandable. But you can't even blame his events in the media relatively recently, as his number has been gone for years. Asked about it in 2022, Kevin Love said there's no question his jersey belongs in the rafters, remarking how the shot was not only the most important in franchise's history, but maybe the most important shot in finals history. As mentioned before, there's not a single soul on this list who's had someone wear their jersey then still get it hung. I guess we will revisit the topic in another 10 years, but for a lot of these legends, it ain't looking good, bruv.